When people talk, listen, man, I'm going to raise that red flag.
This narrative, especially after 1 year.
1 year.
One bad year. It's one big splash move. And because I don't think people understand how much cap space we can create.
Alex, I want to ask you, because you're a very humble person.
And I'm never going to be right about anything.
Yeah.
I was right.
Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick video but I had this on my mind because my last video was all about wide receiver 1 for the Panthers. And so I was looking at all these trends and all this historical data to prove my point about the wide receiver 1s. And making my point about Garrett Wilson made me think that that had to be the guy, because there was nobody else that it could be, because this free agent market doesn't have what we tend to want. So then I kept on looking, and I can't find a lot of times where there's a rookie GM that wants to trade a young, talented player, because it's a not for long league, especially for the Jets. So I think it's more likely that Rodgers isn't back and that Devontae Adams is gone and all these older players are gone than these young stars. So I think that Wilson's going to be off the table. And then you got Higgins. It really feels like he's going to be back with the Bengals. And if he's not, we have to compete with all these other teams that want him. And it looks like the Pats are going all in for him. I don't think we're going to be able to outbid the Pats. And frankly, the Pats are just a better organization. And T. Higgins doesn't really fit the mold that we usually go for, like I thought he did. Before I kind of thought we needed somebody more, like larger, like a big target for Bryce. But that's not what historically we've done. So my only thought then was to see what the draft had. And Emeka Ebguka seems like a very, very easy option. But I've looked at a ton of mocks and I'm like, well, he's a later pick. There's no way we would take him at 8. But then I looked at historical trends for wide receiver from early to late, and they always come on late, and they always come on higher than we think they do. Not only that, but they always come on after big games in the national championship. So Emeka Ebguka is playing Notre Dame in the national championship game. If he has a big game, he's going to fly up draft boards. And not only that, he's already 14th on PFF's big board. So if I think that if PFF's big board has him 14th, and wide receivers are usually drafted higher than we think, and he has a chance to fly up it through the national championship game, playing a corner in Notre Dame's Benjamin Morrison, if he can have a big game against him in the national championship, he'll be right there in the top 10. You also could make a case for Luther Burden, who might be more talented, but Luther has only played 1 year. It doesn't have a ton of tape, and I think we need somebody that can play right away, because we need receiver help right away. So going into more of the trend aspect of it, right? Dan Morgan, and I always start with him in like 2014, because that's when he started coming from a scout to actually in the front office and actually working directly with his mentor Schneider. So in 2014 to 17, the wide receiver 1 in Seattle was Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin is a great high volume possession receiver that they needed. And he was 5'11" and 195. So he was this size is kind of right in line with the possession type receivers that we want in for a Schneider mentality. So I'm not going to say Schneider anymore. I'm going to say Morgan. But Morgan usually wants this as his traditional high volume, let's call him the X receiver. He also partners them with a kind of, it sounds like not a very nice thing to say, but a like one trick pony kind of receiver. And that was Jermaine Kearse when he was with them. And he's a little bit bigger, downfield guy. He's 6'1" and 210 pounds. So he's more of a like jump ball, big play guy. And I mean, you remember him in the championship, the Super Bowl with the Patriots. The one that set up the interception at the goal line was a big Jermaine Kearse catch. So he's like the downfield guy. Baldwin works underneath possession type player. So from the whole Morgan time that he was in before he goes to the Bills, it's Doug Baldwin and Kearse. All right? So these are our guys. So then we go to the Bills, and Bills have just drafted Zay Jones. And Morgan comes there, and he's the X receiver, right? So Zay Jones is at 6'2", 200 pounds, and he's like your X. So we're kind of in that 6 foot, 200 pound role. Doug Baldwin's 5'11", 195. Zay Jones, 6'2", 200. After him, they release him because he was bad. They bring in John Brown, who's their number one receiver. He goes for over 100 yards, 1,000 yards that year, and he's 5'11", and I think he's a little undersized. I think they have him at 185. But they draft Gabe Davis, who is their big play receiver. He's bigger, downfield type weapon. Turns out in 2019, John Brown is still their best receiver, but like they start seeing they need to upgrade. So what do? They go and get Stephon Diggs, who is 6 foot, 200 pounds. So we're in that still 200 pounds role. But then just because I have this data in front of me, he's also fast. And they're all the same kind of speed area. So Diggs ran a 4.43 at the combine. And then he leaves, he goes to the Panthers. He inherits DJ Moore, who's 6 foot, 209 pounds, and runs a 4.42 40. So then we're looking at, okay, I had Diggs, who was 6 foot, 200 pounds, 4.43 40. DJ Moore, 6 foot, 209 pounds, 4.42 40. And then we draft Terrace Marshall. Terrace Marshall is our big play threat. Well, Terrace Marshall, I think PFF had him as number one go ball receiver when he was playing with the Panthers. But he couldn't go to the field because he couldn't do anything else. But we still had our go ball receiver that is tall, big play type of receiver. And then we still have DJ Moore. Well, we trade DJ Moore, and then as our replacement, we bring in 6'2", 201 pound Adam Thielen, who ran a 4.45 40. Well, then we get rid of Terrace Marshall because he's not good, and we draft XL as our big play downfield guy. So Morgan always has this specific plan. So what is he? So there has to be a replacement for Thielen because Thielen is 35. What did the Seahawks do? Well, they had Baldwin. Baldwin's career was coming to an end. They draft Lockett. Lockett takes over that role. Lockett's career is coming to an end. They draft JSN. And JSN happens to be 6 foot, 197 pounds, and ran a 4.45 40. So, what did we do as sort of our test to see Thielen's replacement, right? Because Thielen's contract's over after next year, but we can get off of it this year. We bring in 5'11", 190 pound Deontay Johnson to be that replacement. That didn't work out. So it would be astounding if we didn't bring that type of player in somehow, because it would be the only time in Morgan's career that we didn't do that. So who could that be? Emeka Ebguka is 6'1", 205 pounds, and ran a 4.45 40. I mean, it seems pretty obvious. And we could go with Burden, who's 5'11", 205 pounds, and ran a 4.5 40. I assume I think he's gonna run again, and he's gonna be higher because I think he's faster than that. But they're all in the same range, and I don't think that we could find that anywhere else. There is a world where we could get DJ Moore back. I don't see it, but there's a world where that could happen. But if he's a Schneider descendant, and Schneider just went Baldwin to drafting Lockett, and not only drafting him, they traded up to draft Lockett. So they targeted Lockett, and then went from Lockett to JSN, draft. We'll see. But as far as I know, we know that the handoff in a Seahawks world goes from Baldwin still playing, Lockett comes on, kind of learns from Baldwin retires, Lockett's going. JSN comes on, kind of learns from Baldwin. Lockett's probably gone after this year, I assume, or I assume. He's just not the same guy. And Thielen's 35. I assume that he's gone after this year. I mean, maybe he comes back for another year, but I think he has one more good year in him. So we hire his replacement coming in, same year. I mean, coming in, learn 1 year under Thielen, and then you're the guy. It paid off for the Seahawks. JSN had a great year. 1,130 yards and 6 touchdowns, I believe. His second year. I think Egbuka is going to can contribute early and can be a replacement if Thielen goes down. But I think that he, in 2 years, could be the traditional X full price, with XL and Coker being his more big play type players, type people. And then we got a receiving core people. And who knows, maybe, I mean, if Schneider drafted an OSU product, he must have a connection to OSU. So maybe he introduces those people to his Padawan, if you want to say, Dan Morgan. So too much of this makes sense that I don't even want to speculate any more on it. I think that has become who I think that we target in the draft, over my initial pick of Malachi Starks, because I think it's the only option unless something out of nowhere comes out. Like, for some reason, Garrett Wilson is available. For some reason, we get DJ Moore back. Other than that, I just don't see anybody else filling those shoes, and I don't see us waiting another year to making Adam Thielen our true high-volume receiver. So that's my video on this, because I wanted to get it out when I just tweeted out this. So I wanted to get a video out on it so that I could be as clear as possible that it is not my favorite draft pick. If it was receiver, I still like the upside of Luther Burden better. I'm telling you what I think the Panthers will do. And I don't think that getting that receiver in that position is a bad move with who is on the market and how this roster is being built. That also leaves a lot more money, because if we're getting Wilson, we'd have to extend him. If we have to get Tiggins, we spend a lot of money. So that's a lot more money out there for defensive free agents who can help us right away. So that's my pick. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, whatever. And see you next time. I don't know why I just saluted.